I'm Sophie.
And I'm Phaedra.
And this is My Best View. Phaedra, what was your best view this week?
My best view this week, it was my anniversary on Monday, my 6-year anniversary since me and my husband started dating. It was so fun. We went out to like Ethiopian food, which is my personal fave.
Ethiopian food.
Yes. All the like little dishes on the injera bread, and it was super good.
I, by the way, side note, have like a long time dream of being wrapped up in a huge injera. I just feel like I would love that.
Should you be that for Halloween? People are like, are you a burrito? No, I'm an injera. Don't you see the tibs on my back?
I love the way you think.
And Sophie, what was your best view this week?
My best view, we've had super intense sun here. Like the sun that I've been like a t-shirt. Like it's been really warm.
Wow.
And every year without fail, when I experience genuinely warm sun for the first time, I go, oh, I have really bad seasonal depression.
It's always surprising.
I'm in such a good mood today. Wow. So that's been honestly nice to experience.
Okay, and Northern Europe winter grayness is like another level. If you haven't experienced living that far north, you don't get it. You don't know what gray is.
And like by the end of February, the will to live is just gone. I mean, it's just gray, gray, gray.
It's sick and twisted.
So sick and twisted.
When I lived in Amsterdam, I remember the first day that the sun came out in winter, I put on a bikini top and shorts, and I went on my little tiny balcony, and I fucking sat and I sunbathed, and I said, I don't care if all the people are blinded by how ghostly pale I am up here. I need this vitamin D. Like, and it was genuinely one of the best days in Amsterdam. I was just like, ah.
I look at pictures of myself from when I lived in Southern California as a teenager. I'm straight up a different race. Like, I am 10 shades lighter than I used to be.
Yeah.
I don't care about that, but I just mean like the level of sunlight I'm receiving here.
Yeah, probably also had a glow to your skin and a huge smile on your face.
All of the above. I mean, it is crazy how little vitamin D I'm working with here. So
Yeah.
All that to say, thank God I could get a little dose the past couple days.
For real. It says 28 days to wed up top, just for reference. And Shekinah asks Sarper how he's feeling after his comedy show. And he says that basically his mind couldn't process it. It was so blurry. He kind of can't even remember it. And Shekinah says that he did well. And Sarper is like, yeah, I know I could do better. But basically he was happy with how it went for not being in his native language. And Shekinah is like, yeah, it was really brave of you to do it, especially like not in Turkish. She's really supportive of him, which is just kind of funny because I feel like what we saw in the last episode, it seems like she was really embarrassed and upset in the moment. So again, with this couple, for me, I'm just having a really hard time figuring out what's real and what's not. Are you having the same thing?
Yeah, it also struck me. I was like, funny that he's saying he did so well, especially because it wasn't like he did so well that he completely blew all the expectations out of the water. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I was like, I feel like if you were concerned before, you'd still be concerned now. But, it was nice that she said that. I mean,
yeah, I did like her being supportive, but I was like, okay, were you pretending to be embarrassed, or were you actually embarrassed, but now you're just like putting on a front to be like a supportive partner, which I don't think is wrong, but I was just wondering what the truth was. And she kind of continues and says that she did like it, but they could have done without the Dan part, which as a reminder was the best part of the set. It was Sarper going, now imagine you're all, what was it, sexually attractive and healthy men, even you, Dan, to the crowd who has no idea who Sarper or Dan is, which was the best part.
Amazing.
And so basically she kind of is like, yeah, you probably could have left that out. And she's wrong, because that was the only funny part. But Sarper says, oh, Shekinah, Dan. And Shekinah says that he has to understand that, like, her friends are her chosen family. And she says she has a lot of problems with her actual family, so if her friends start hating him, then it will just cause so many problems for her. And Sarper's like what? She kind of says that getting negative feedback from her friends just makes things super uncomfortable. And she does say that this has happened, it seems like multiple times in the past.
Seems like consistently she's gotten bad feedback. Yeah.
Okay, this reminded me, Sophie, of the thing that you've been saying on, I think, a few episodes, which is like, or definitely in the last episode, you said that if you find yourself wanting to hide things about your relationships from your friends, probably that's a sign that there's something not super healthy going on. Did it also make you think of that?
No, because I don't like her friends either. Oh. So
Okay, so this is kind of like what I'm talking about last time, right? I was like, well, it depends on the friend.
Yeah, no, it is, because like if the friend in question is Dan, like then I don't care what he says. Yeah.
And all of the friends that we've seen of Shekinah's, they don't give signifiers as being like people whose advice you should take necessarily.
At least not on plastic surgery procedures.
That's for sure. Okay, interesting. So Shekinah says that Dan was probably showing up to support Sarper, and Sarper says, "You cannot understand that vibe between men. If he was upset, he would leave." And basically, Sarper and Shekinah just go back and forth where Shekinah's like, "You shouldn't have said that," and like, "You definitely made him feel very defensive," and Sarper's like just disagreeing and is like, "He's making himself the victim," and Shekinah's like, "But you made him the victim in that situation," which is true. But again, I don't really care because it's Dan. I don't care about Dan.
Also, it just feels so forced and produced. Like, again, I don't mind if things are produced if they're done well. Like, I'm all for producers stirring the pot. But like right after this, she kind of suggests that Sarper should talk to Dan. And like the way she even said it, it was like, what if you spoke to Dan? Like, it was like really weird and robotic. She's like trying to remember her line. I was like,
absolutely. And she's like, "You should really like clear the air." And Sarper's like, no. But then he does go and do it in the next section. So now in the second section of their part, Sarper is walking up to a house wearing, first of all, the most insane shirt. Did you see his t-shirt?
loved the shirt.
It's amazing. I think we need this shirt too. We'll wear it to a show in May. So guys, it was it's like a t-shirt, a graphic tee, and the graphic is an American flag with on one side of it a huge bald eagle, and on the other side it looked like, what was that, a burning ship?
I don't know. And I don't even know where you buy stuff like this. Like,
Temu? I don't know. Yeah, it was very...
I was thinking like Colonial Williamsburg gift shop, you know?
That actually is the vibe. It's Colonial Williamsburg X Shein or whatever.
New collab
It's
dropping.
actually his collab with them. Yeah, I love it. So first of all, that already visually was amazing. Grabbed my attention. And then the second thing that grabbed my attention was they show the house that Sarper is walking up to. He's let in through this gate. It's like some fancy house. But so he is let into the gate, and we are shown the most baffling house I have ever seen. And I've lived in California. I've seen some McMansions. And I have scoured Zillow across the globe, and this was some crazy shit. It is a 2-story, gray, faux castle. It is one of the ugliest feats of mankind I've ever bared witness to. It's giving medieval times, Disneyland and Ren Fair all at once, but I normally love those things, and it's so unsuccessful here.
I was also baffled, especially because they were consistently talking about his house is a castle.
A castle. But like literally, guys, it had like turrets and shit.
It looks like a castle in the fuggliest possible way. Like, technically, yes, in the sense that it has features that you would associate with a castle, but it looks like a prison. Also.
Yeah, it was prison gray, first of all.
It was really freaky.
I felt like that's a house that you enter and you never leave.
Also, the charm of a castle is that it's old.
Yes.
Also, might I add, Dan is from France. What European is trying to live in a faux castle that was built 5 years ago?
I mean, do you think it's not even his house?
You're right. I'm sure. It's like on The Bachelor.
It was so empty in there. I bet that they rented. I don't think that was his house. I bet he lives in like a 1-bed apartment. I don't think that's his house.
Probably.
So Sarper has to walk down from the gate on the sloped pavement down to where Dan is waiting in front of his house. It's so awkward because he's like trying to posture, like walking very masculine, like with showing his like broad shoulders, but like downhill. And
it's a 10-minute walk also.
It's so long. We're just like kind of watching him go, and it's so awkward. And then Sarper says in like a very, very manly voice, he goes, "Cool house." But you know what? I bet he actually does think that house is cool.
If he thinks his shirt is cool, he thinks the castle is cool.
Because if I said this, I'd be like, "Cool house," like sarcastic. But I really think he's like, "This is actually a really cool house. I want to live in a castle too."
I know. And they like really leaned into the word castle. And like, okay, I understand what they mean, which you all will understand when you see the screenshot that we'll post. Like, it has castle-like elements. The way they keep going, it's a castle. Yeah, having a turret does not a castle make. I mean, it is just an ugly house. Like,
and it's so clearly just a standard modern 2-story house that they like painted gray and put faux turrets on. Like, it's not, guys, this is not like in the structure at all of like
Shawn's house looks like more of a castle because it's old and historic.
yes.
And then of course Dan goes, welcome to my castle. Like, the castle branding. The producers were like, we'll pay you $100 extra for every time you say the word castle.
To pay him back for renting this Airbnb. Yeah, so he's like, let me give you a tour of the house. And Sarper's like, no, that's okay. We can just talk. And he's like, no, I have to show you the house. Again, because he rented it. He's like, I'm going to get my money's worth.
It's like, we're sponsored by Airbnb. We have to show the house for at least.
Contractually, we have to. And so Dan shows him the view, and it's honestly a stunning view of LA. It's beautiful from the hills. It's like gorgeous. And Sarper's like, okay, can we go talk somewhere? And Dan's like, not yet. We still have the living room to watch. Love the use of watch there. And Sarper says, will you show the bedroom too? And all of a sudden I was like, are they about to fuck?
No, because 2 notes down, I literally wrote word for word, are they about to fuck?
And you know what? I did not hate the idea. I was like, we talk about a heated rivalry. Now I'm into it, thinking maybe this is sexual tension. But then unfortunately we could close read and find some sexual tension, but they're pretending it's just tension, so it's not as entertaining. But Dan says, no, I'm not going to tell you who was in this bedroom. Like, implying that Shekinah was in there. And Sarper's like, ugh, pushing the limits. It's so acted. It's so scripted. It's terrible. I got the feeling that, like, they film it, and then they both take a break to look at their lines again, and then they go back.
They just go, again.
Yeah, wait, you guys, it should be look at the living room, not watch, but they didn't get that one. So they go to the living room, and we're not even getting a tour of this house. They just are standing. We're not even, like, getting shown. I was like, you know what? I love real estate. Do show me the house. Do show it to me if you're making such a point of it. But they didn't. Sarper and Dan start to talk, and Sarper's like, I just want respect, okay? And what I said at the comedy show was revenge. So not an apology, just a fact.
Which, honestly, I can respect. Just, like, doubling down.
Yeah. And Dan says that the stand-up just showed what an insecure and jealous person Sarper is. And Sarper tells Dan that he played the victim, and Shekinah believed it. And he says that him, meaning Sarper, and Shekinah have problems because of Dan. That's what they fight about. And I'm like, that's not what you fight about. You fight about that she's difficult to live with, you don't like her dogs, that, what was it, that she's rude to waitstaff? I'm like, no, we actually know why you fight. We got proof of it.
We saw the text.
Not one of those text things was about Dan, mind you. So, just saying. And
I was just going to say the one thing that with an I wrote, are they about to fuck, is that they were talking about being bad boys. And Dan said, you think you're the only bad boy here? I can be a very bad boy. And I was like, okay, so they're about to take their clothes off and literally have sexual intercourse.
And I was into it. I actually said, let me give this my full attention. I put my notes down. I said, what's about to happen? Yeah, and I think that they both felt it and got nervous, to be honest.
They're like, you want to dominate me? Prove it.
Yeah.
Let's settle this via wrestling.
Oh my God, that's how the season ends, is Sarper and Dan hook up at the wedding.
I hope so.
And then, unfortunately, they just continue this lame shit talking. So that was a real disappointment. And Sarper laughs at him for saying this. And Dan says, can we do this in accents? Okay, so Dan then goes, you think you're the bad boy? I've been dating all the girls in our friend group already. And that was getting worse.
That was a lot. I will defend Dan. His accent is not that bad.
It's really thick.
I have French accent blindness, to be honest. I have too many French family members.
Well, sorry to them. Give a trigger warning up top for French accents.
Trigger warning French.
And Sarper says that Shekinah told him that she and Dan went on 3 dates and shared a kiss. And Dan says, maybe more. And Sarper says, this is the vibe I'm talking about. You're making me crazy, bro. And then Sarper says that he believes Shekinah. And Dan says that their relationship won't last. And Sarper says, you're so brave, bro. Oh my God, you're so brave. Like, guys, this is the dialogue here. If it's scripted, let's get a better script.
It's just filler. It's like, these guys need to watch some Act on Demand videos and get more creative with the improv. Because it's just like, that's not true. Yes, it is. No, bro. Yes, bro. Like, we gotta get somewhere.
So Sarper and I team says that if they were back in Turkey, they would go outside, roll up their sleeves, and solve this, like, quote, real men. The only thing keeping him calm is thinking of Shekinah, because he would be deported for doing that. And I'm like, Well, I'm glad to hear you're thinking about that. And Sarper asks Dan to be normal. And Dan is like, acknowledges that they've upset each other and says basically that they're even. And Sarper agrees. And they just come to an agreement of like, let's stop.
This whole thing could have been one segment. It could have been 0 segments.
We honestly could have cut it. It doesn't seem to have, like, the Dan plotline and then the Sarper Shekinah plotline seem so removed from each other.
And I'm confused about the need to have this fake plotline because Sarper and Shekinah have enough going on. They're so fascinating. I would watch those two cook an egg.
Yeah, let's see the first meal that they cooked in the kitchen. That's what I care about.
So I just don't understand the need to, like, add this.
Me neither. I don't get it. It's interesting because I've heard from our producer that apparently Dan was quite a plot line in some other version of the show that Shekinah and Sarper have been on, like before this. But I'm like, okay, was that more interesting at least? Because why is he on multiple versions of the show?
I haven't seen the spinoffs, but I cannot imagine any context in which people are clamoring to see more of Dan.
Certainly not.
Seriously. Like, he's not an interesting side character.
Honestly, Ray from the Throuple has more charisma than Dan.
I agree.
Now we have Stevi and Mahdi, who are a hot fucking mess. What the shit is going on?
Every episode, I'm like, wait, why are these two together? Like, they are giving, you know that show Married at First Sight?
Of course.
Where they'll just pair, like, people with nothing in common, allegedly amazing pairs, but they all have nothing in common. Like, that's the vibe.
Yes, they're really giving Married at First Sight, not First Fight.
Yeah, also that.
I actually love that concept for a show.
Probably is going to be a spinoff. They're always coming up with new stuff.
Wait, sorry. Side note just for you. I saw something from TLC that popped up on my For You page. Oh, yeah, it's that lady who's in love with her AI chatbot. Have you seen this?
Oh, no. Yes, Sarah and Sinclair. I've seen them. Okay, I swear to you, TLC has those big dice, like, you know, the, like, sexy time dice where it's like kiss, elbow, or whatever. They have those, and they have just, like, different keywords, and they roll them and they combine them. Okay, they have a show on TLC called Too Fat to Transition.
Sorry, what does that mean?
That's about people who are transgender, but they're too fat for the surgeries. So they have to, like, lose weight. I've never seen it because it sounds like quadruply exploitative, but so they have to, like, lose weight before they can get gender affirming surgery.
Oh my god.
There's one called Big and Little. That's about little people who are also fat. I mean,
I'm
telling you, isn't it giving dice? Isn't it giving, like, fat and AI?
Wait, do you think there's people who have been on 90 Day Fiance who have been on other versions of TLC shows? Is that a stupid question? Is it like, oh my god, obviously they all go on Big and Little?
I don't think so, because I think it's a completely different... obviously, it's a completely different talent pool.
I don't think so, though. TLC has, like, I think 1,000 shows going on currently right now. So I'm like, surely at some point. I'm sure there's at least one person who's been on multiple of those. TLC, honestly, it's disgusting, and some of the greatest minds are creating it. Like, they're doing stuff that, like, I could never even consider.
I know.
And you know, I have one of the biggest brains in this country, so that's a high standard.
I'm always saying that.
So, did we start this section at all? I don't think so, right?
No, we just said we hate them as a couple.
So, we open to 3 of Stevie's friends, the ones that have joined for her bachelorette party. There's Claire, who is the friend who does the burlesque dancing and also who Stevie painted naked that Maddie got all upset about. And then there's the friend Megan, who's the one that they met up with to make the wedding bowl at the glass blowing thing. And then there's a husband, Adam, and I, for the life of me, can't remember if this is Claire's husband or Megan's, but I'm assuming it's one of theirs. But they're waiting outside of a business called, quote, All Spaceways Lounge and Cabaret. And this is where the burlesque show will happen. And one of the women is saying, she's going to hate this. And Adam says, she's going to hate you. Like, kind of like lighthearted. Because I guess they're worried that Stevie's not going to enjoy going to this burlesque show. And then one of the women says, you only YOLO once, which was awesome. I know you hate when people do that. This is so reminiscent of Amani's, what was it, Boss Babe?
Boss ass bitch energy, which is what babe stands for, but then she called herself a boss babe. Yeah, I can't even go down that path
Just
again.
The repetition of it all. So Stevie and Mahdi approach them in line, and the women are like, woo, and put a bride sash on her. And it's revealed that this is a joint bachelor-bachelorette party, which I thought that it was going to be kind of like a Jessica and Juan situation where they're doing it on the same night, but like separately. But no, it's all together. And we see to maximize the drama of it all. And yes, they're going to a burlesque show. And in an interview, Stevi admits that this is the first time Mahdi and her friend Claire, who she painted naked, are seeing each other since that was revealed. So she's not sure this is the best setting. And I'm like, yeah, I'd agree with that. So Mahdi in an interview says the only thing that he knows about American bachelor parties are from what he's seen in the movies, and sometimes those are really wild.
Again, he knows everything.
I know. And he hopes that nothing wild happens during his bachelor party. And
I really do wonder like how conservative Mahdi is personally. I feel like it really toggles between like having very liberal beliefs and sort of criticizing his family for being so conservative, but then being super conservative himself. Like I can't quite get a read on him with that.
You have pointed out many times that you think that he feels quite performative in many moments. And I have really come around to that, but I am having a very hard time determining which moments are performative and which aren't, because he kind of always has that vibe. But then it really does feel like quite a whiplash between two modes of himself, as you just said, like this very conservative nature and this like pretty not conservative nature. And I don't know which one's authentic. It's very weird.
Yeah, I agree.
So Saeed, Mahdi's friend, like the shit-stirring friend, joins the group. And, you know, he meets everyone. And when he meets Claire, he says, "Oh, so you're Claire."
When he said that, I was like, Saeed, shut the fuck up.
He has no social graces. It's crazy. Or he's a total producer plant who's just going in and being like so dramatic. I kind of think it's that. He also gives a very performative to me.
Well, I will say he's loving his screen time. That I know.
And Claire kind of like gives a side eye look and is to like Stevi and is like, "Yes, I'm Claire." And it's just like so obvious that something weird's going on. And Claire asks Saeed if he's been to a burlesque show before, and he says no. She says it's like, quote, an adult-themed dance recital. You're going to enjoy it. It's really awesome. And I'm like, I truly don't think they're going to enjoy it. It just was funny to be like, you're going to love it. It's just funny to me, given like every conversation they've had up to this point, that I'm like, why are you saying like, oh, for sure you're going to enjoy it? It's okay. Like, I think I would be like, it might be a lot, but it's like a cultural experience. I hope you like it. That's like what I would say.
You're going to love it. Yeah.
You're going to love it.
I know what you're saying.
So they all go inside and the performers come on stage, and the, quote, madam of this little salacious speakeasy, end quote, comes on stage, and she calls it a brothel. And the first performer, Miss Juno, starts her routine, dancing around the venue, like between the tables and everything like that, as she strips. And the like MCs sing live the weirdest fucking song I've ever heard.
Yes.
I didn't write down the lyrics, but did you happen to? Because they were so funny to me.
No, but like when she had her boobs out and they were like boobs, 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 or something like that. I was like,
do you think they did that because like the show couldn't use licensed music or something?
To go on royalty free?
They were doing act on demand improv. I felt like they were coming up with a song as they were going. Because they were like, she went to the Bermuda Triangle and all the planes went down. And I was like, is this a song? Like, that's, I think, literally one of the lyrics. It was so random. And I was like, what does that even mean? Does it mean, like, she's so sexually enticing, planes go down in the Bermuda? I was just like, what does this mean? It was bizarre.
I really wish I could tell you. I really only recognized the music once it became the boob song. And I was like, are you just singing whatever? Like,
boobs, boobs, boobs. And so the dancer is dancing and stripping, and she takes off her bra at one point. And we get a shot of like Saeed covering his face and Mahdi looking so like uncomfortable. It's just awkward to watch. And like, I'm just imagining the camera like up in his face too. It's just so like, look, I've been to burlesque a number of times here in New York. And even for me, it's a lot.
It also, I think, needs to be opted in.
Yes.
Like, not just for consent reasons, but also just, like, it's a very specific vibe. Like, I don't know. To me, it's the same as if you, I don't know why this is coming up for me, like, go in one of those, like, trampoline places where it's trampolines on the walls. And I'm like, you know, if you just take me there and I'm not in the mood, I'd be like, why am I here? You know what I mean? Like, there's like there's certain things that, like, you want to know that people want to do it.
I love that comparison. Just imagining catching up with an old friend and they're like, hey, meet me at this address, and it's fucking like trampoline fun town. And you're like, oh, I thought we were just going to grab a coffee and catch up. It's been 10 years. And they're like, no, get on the trampoline, man.
I don't know why that's what came out for me, but it's like similar where it's like I don't know, why would you bring someone to that who doesn't want to go? What's the benefit?
And consent is so important both when going to a burlesque show and going to a trampoline palace. Or whatever you call them, trampoline castle. Oh my god, that's actually what was in Dan's house. They had a whole trampoline room.
Honestly, a bouncy house would have been better than what he had going on.
So Mahdi in an interview says, imagine a couple weeks ago I was in a country that you could have been arrested or even killed just because of not having a hijab. And I wanted to say, you mean jihad, right, Perry?
Yeah. Let's get the terminology correct.
Yeah, come on, Mahdi. Let me teach you about your own culture. And he says it's so against his upbringing and doesn't know why Stevi would put him in that situation. And I said, because you guys aren't compatible. But again, I don't know how much of this is real. Like, I don't know, like, if he actually was upset by it or if he's acting. It's genuinely hard to tell.
This is what I mean. This is what I struggle with. He was so excited to come to America, clearly. Mm-hmm. But then he's like, oh my God, this is not okay. It's different in Iran. And I'm like...
It just doesn't feel authentic when he says it, too.
It's odd. I don't... Let me tell you, the relationship is not good enough that he's like, I'm leaving my beloved Iran for the love of my life. It's simply not.
He's leaving Iran for his beloved America.
He clearly wanted to be there, so I really struggle with this combination. I really can't get a good read on him, except for that I just, like, don't find him trustworthy.
So in the moment, Mahdi excuses himself and says he'll be back, and he leaves the club. And then outside, he does an interview with the camera, like, in real time, and he says everything was just too much and he had to have a break. And we cut to Stevi at the table with her group of friends looking honestly really stressed. And I just had this thought of this is the lamest bachelorette party ever.
And you know what? I already said that about Jessica and Juan's when they went to Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. No, this was lamer. I'm like, how do you have a bachelorette party in New Orleans and make it lame? That's impressive, honestly. So we cut to an interview with Stevi, and she says that she communicated with Mahdi multiple times to tell her if he's uncomfortable and wants to leave. So she doesn't know what's going on, like why he's just not said anything to her and gotten up and left the club, which honestly is annoying.
Yeah.
I don't see why he wouldn't. That's why to me it feels inauthentic, because...
If they already discussed him having an out, why wouldn't he just be like, hey, I'm tapping out, it's too much for me?
Yeah, and I think she would have been okay with that. So they all leave the club because the performance wraps up.
Can I just say, by the way, my favorite part of this was that Saeed, who's like the world's biggest complainer, stayed the whole show.
Oh, yeah, I think he loved it.
He's like talking about, oh my God, in Iran, we don't do this stuff. But he did not make an effort to remove himself from the situation whatsoever.
You know, a lot of Saeed's comments, I can totally imagine how the editors are cutting down longer sentences where he goes, I mean, yeah, where I'm from, you would never see something like this, but it's so fun. Or like, I'm really enjoying it. I'm surprised how much, even something like that. But they just cut it as, where I'm from, we don't have this. You know, and yeah.
I do think they're editing his comments. I do think they're also taking advantage of when he's drunk. Mm-hmm. That being said, I feel like Saeed, more than having like concrete feelings about things, is just a pot stirrer and just loves just starting shit.
I agree with that.
It's not even, I feel like it's not even about like a specific like means to an end. He's just like, let's go around the table and say who we think is the ugliest person here. Like he just loves like doing shit where I'm like, okay.
I don't know if it's as explicit as this, but I wouldn't be surprised if basically he said to the producers, what do you need me to do tonight? And
he's like, this is my big break. I want to do a good job. This is the audition for God knows what.
Because, guys, you have to keep in mind that him and Mahdi are internet friends. And I'm not saying that cannot be a real friendship. I had an internet friend come to my wedding, and she's awesome. Shout out Elena. Love you.
I loved her, by the way.
She's the best. I know that those can be real friendships. But I also know that they can not be real friendships. So I do think it's just an important thing to keep in mind that these are not childhood best friends or something like this.
Also, you didn't have your internet friend as like the only person at your wedding and like speaking on your behalf about like your deepest desires. You know what I mean? Like,
so they leave the club once the performance wraps up, and Stevi finds Mahdi outside and tries to playfully like put the feather boa that she's wearing onto his shoulders while asking, you okay? And he like pushes her hands off him like the boa.
Get that shit away from me.
He doesn't literally say that, but that's the vibe. And he says, no, it's just too much. And she's like, it's too much feathers? I'm like, no, Stevi, don't play dumb. Like, it's very clear, like, he's uncomfortable with what he saw. And she's like, you don't like the feathers on the boa? Like, girl, obviously that's not what is going on. They're like, oh, let's go have a drink. You know, that was a lot. And they go to some fuck-ass, huge, like, outdoor courtyard that I guess is a bar? Like, an area. I'm like, is this in a parking lot? Like, what is this? And they get cocktails, and it looks so fucking lame. Like, the energy is so weird here. Everyone is awkward and seems tired. And I'm like, didn't the night just begin? Why are we so tired? It's just super weird.
It did not look fun.
It did not look fun. And I felt like it was such a difference from earlier in the day when Stevi, Mahdi, and Saeed were walking around drinking their little hurricanes. And then now they're like having this somber drink at this outdoor random courtyard bar. And it's just like so weird. One of Stevie's friends asks what the wedding plans are. 2 days before the wedding, mind you. That's awesome. And she doesn't even know. I'm like, isn't this Stevie's like best friend?
Are you invited?
Yeah. I think she's wondering. She's like, I have plans. Should I cancel them? And Stevie's like, oh yeah, I don't even have shoes yet. Girl, what the fuck? She's pissing me off.
It's like this thing too. It's like, I'm so chill. And it's like, no, this isn't chill. This is something else. And it's weird that you're like making it seem like a funny, cute quirk.
And Saeed says to the group, kind of out of nowhere, says about Stevi and Mahdi that they've only been seeing each other in person for the past 30 days. And they still have 60 days. So why don't they take more time the next 2 months? I'm like, so Saeed, like, I do agree with you, but why the fuck are you saying this to everyone? So Stevi says, quote, I definitely don't feel like I'm rushing. Already, lack of awareness is crazy.
She just loves to like shut things down in a way where I'm like, you can say like, yeah, the observation you're making is correct. However, I'm making a call that it's right for me. Fine. But the way she'll be like, no, it's not rushing. It's like, well, sort of objectively it is rushing, but okay.
And you, like, 2 weeks ago were saying, yeah, ideally we wouldn't rush it, but I get why we have to.
She's so defensive.
It's so strange.
Also, I don't know if you caught this. She like, when she explained, she goes, quote, there are some details with Mahdi's paperwork that have unfortunately caused us to move our date up. No, you guys wanted to save money.
So what's the real thing? I almost believed this more than the, like, wanting to save money thing.
Honestly, I mean, I don't want to be, like, too chill about money. Like, I mean, if it's, let's say it was going up by $2,000, I mean, that's not an insignificant amount of money. But I feel like it's not an amount of money where you're like, I'm switching our whole wedding around because we must save that. You know what I mean? Like,
I do agree with that. Well, just for context, in case anyone else isn't remembering this show as deeply as we are, the reason that they moved up the wedding date that they gave to, like, the camera was that Mahdi had pointed out that if they waited 2 more months, like was the original plan to get married, the prices for the application fees for the green card would go up. So he was saying, let's just do it now so that we can save that money and then also so that I can hopefully work sooner, which I get the logic of that, but it's funny that Stevi right now is giving a totally different answer in a way that I was like, I actually feel like this might be the truth because that's such a random excuse to give.
I mean, again, not to too closely read the words of a drunk woman at her bachelorette party, but she said, the details that have unfortunately caused us to move the date up. I was like, unfortunately.
So you're admitting that you're rushing and you wish that you didn't have to. And also when she said it, she kind of like looked at Mahdi like, oh yeah, that thing. So that's kind of why I believed it.
It's sketchy. Regardless, it's sketchy.
It's very weird. Again, I think I would love this show. I mean, I do love the show already, but I would really love if they were more, almost like if they had a companion podcast or show where they went through the literal logistics of everything.
Legal companion podcast.
I want like a lawyer to break down, to look at their application or whatever and be like, so this is what they're talking about. I find it so interesting.
A lawyer's talking about the throuple. They're just like, yeah, there's nothing here.
No, literally, I would like them to know, like, is that even logistically possible? Because I do think the logistics inform this kind of thing so much. And without it, I do feel that we're lacking some drama. Honestly, there's drama in logistics. So anyway, Stevi says that they're doing what's best for them. And, quote, I think when you get married to someone, it's a commitment.
Wow, that's amazing.
And people can change and they may do weird things. And you just have to learn to love one another because you made a commitment to each other. So it's just a bit different for me.
Girl, what? Also, though, not her being like, so for me, marriage is a commitment. I'm like, yeah, that's sort of the first word most people would use to describe marriage.
So Stevi, in an interview, says that Saeed has, quote, formulated false narratives about her and it infuriates her. She's trying to figure out what she did that's causing that in him. And this was interesting because now in the same interview, a producer off screen asks her if she's okay because she looks upset. I found this really, really interesting, Sophie. I don't know if you caught this. But Stevi says, quote, that situation just really upset me because it was morphing me into somebody that I'm not and also trying to morph my husband and put my friends in an uncomfortable situation so I don't like it. So is this a straight up spoiler? She said husband.
I did not catch the word husband.
But I think that the vast majority of people would not refer to your fiance as your husband.
I agree.
I think this is a full spoiler.
Fuck.
So they do get married.
But you know what? I got a vibe later. I was like, oh, fuck, they're going to get married.
Sophie, I've been, not to be like, I knew it. I've been saying they're going to get married. But I also was like, producers, this is so fucking sloppy. Why would you keep that in?
Really sloppy. Ugh, now I'm getting mad.
Mad that it's spoiled or mad that they got married?
Mad that they got married.
Eek. So now, seemingly out of nowhere to the group, Mahdi says that thinking about the wedding makes him think of the day that they toured the wedding venue with Claire. And he apologizes in front of everyone to Claire and says that he didn't have a good reaction when he found out about the painting situation. And he says he's really sorry about that. And Claire says she understands and it's okay. Really confusing, but we'll get into it in a second. Because then Saeed in the moment asks Mahdi why he's apologizing, which is just crazy, and asks if he's okay with that, like the painting situation. And Mahdi says it's solved. And he promised Stevie's dad, Perry, to not impose the mindset that he grew up with in Iran on Stevie. So he doesn't want to change Stevie as long as it doesn't affect their relationship. And Mahdi thanks the group for a great night that he'll never forget. I said, okay, so what the fuck is going on?
This was such a big departure from anything else we've seen. I was like...
It felt crazy.
Yeah.
And I went, okay, so it is all acting, huh? This was the plot line that you guys agreed to do for the show. And then you're kind of maybe getting annoyed at Saeed trying to like stir the pot more than you actually intended him to. And so you're just kind of, I think, mistakenly shutting that shit all the way down and just being like, yep, we've wrapped up our storyline. We're all good.
It really makes me think the plot line was like, Iran, they're crazy over there. And he had to be like, women have boobs. I didn't know about that. You know, like...
I think that Saeed was not maybe clued into the fact that it was acting or something like that. And I think Mahdi was kind of like over it and just shut it down. That's my best interpretation, because otherwise I'm so confused what could be happening right now.
It was really weird. It was a really weird departure from everything else.
And then I was like, oh, so they're definitely getting married. That plus the husband comment. But you know what I mean? I was like, oh, okay, so they've wrapped up their storyline and now it's just butterflies.
Oh, fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
What are they going to talk about? What is the basis for this relationship?
Yeah, that's the thing is like, I am coming to a conclusion that a lot of this is straight up faked, but I do think some of it is real. And that's why it's frustrating when producers do these super scripted storylines. I mean, I am allegedly, but come on, I have a brain. I'm just like, well, what's the real drama? Because I don't think that this relationship is perfect. I think that there's mess here, but I feel frustrated not knowing what the mess is.
The thing is, I just don't see any baseline chemistry. Like Sarper and Shekinah, I can totally see there's like silly producer shit stacked on top of their real relationship. But I get and again, it's not a dynamic that I would want, but I get what their dynamic is. With Stevie and Mahdi, if I saw them together at the grocery store, I would think they were shopping separately. I wouldn't think they were together in any way.
They definitely give the vibe of like friend hanging out with her best friend's boyfriend. Like they're teaming up to do like a surprise party for the girlfriend.
There's not a level of comfort you would expect. There's not, I mean, I don't even think you have to have like mutual interest in the sense of like the same hobbies. But I'm like, what do you guys talk about other than fighting if Stevie's bisexual or not? Like, I don't know. I don't get it at all.
I find it really weird. I'm actually really interested to like look at what I assume happens after the show. Like if they do interviews and stuff like that, I would love to see them in the wild. You know, I would like, is it super different from on the show or what is the vibe?
Yeah, I don't have super high hopes.
But this is a kind of couple where like, I don't know, if in a few months or a year or something, they come out with the show fake this and this, I actually would believe it.
I believe any allegation about this show, to be honest.
I mean, it's TLC. I would believe anything.
We are with Mark and Mina in Boston, and Mina's sister Alex is arriving from France, and Mina is just like really happy to finally have family around, which I completely understand.
I'm so happy for her too. It was so cute.
And like the first thing Mark says, quote, "You know, I'm glad you got her to help you with all the wedding stuff. You know I'm not very good at this." Well, I know you're not good at this, but just like I hate the way he's always going like, oh, I can't do anything. Like, he is the king of weaponized incompetence. It drives me nuts.
Seriously. Someone on our TikTok commented on one video we did of Mark and was like, Mark is such a cutie pie and one of the nicest men on this TV show. And I just thought, holy shit, if that's true, that is so depressing because this guy's such a fucking bum to me.
Agreed. And I will die on this hill. He's not malicious, but he is like such an idiot on purpose. Like,
Yes.
I mean, the king of weaponized confidence, as I said. Like,
Very common in that generation, but we're not in that generation. We don't have to accept that shit.
amen. So Mina is talking more about her sister Alex, and she says that they're really close and that she's basically the person she would call to dispose of a body, which, love.
So cute. We both have sisters, so we get that vibe.
I know. I love that energy. And Alex arrives, and baby Maria is so happy to see her. It was just a cute vibe all around.
Really sweet.
So Mina and Alex at this point are going to a dress fitting. Note to Stevi. Mina ordered her dress 2 years ago. And also she's like making the time to go to a fitting ahead of time. You know, like she's doing what needs to be done.
And not in her native country. And she's still managing to do it.
So true. So Mina at this point is talking about how being in a city makes her happy, aka as opposed to Soaring Heights, and how there's like no sidewalks there. And then there's this like B-roll of her trying to cross like a highway with Maria in a stroller in New Hampshire. And then Alex says that she imagines Mina milking a cow and churning her own butter, which I thought is so funny.
I know.
So as you mentioned, Mina's worried the dress won't fit, but of course, not only does it fit, she looks gorgeous in it.
She does.
And she said she thought she would never experience that like iconic, you know, feeling of wearing a white dress for a wedding. And she's just so happy that the time has finally come, which I guess means she didn't get married before.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too.
And then Alex, her sister, has like some little gifts for her. So she has pearl jewelry, which I'm sorry to say, I hated the earrings. The necklace was really beautiful.
Earrings were very ugly, but Mina seemed to really like it, so that's what matters.
Yes, ultimately it is her wedding. Because like we started with the necklace. The necklace was gorgeous, and then the earrings were just a lot, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And then Alex also brought this little like charm kind of thing that was like a little picture of their parents and with a little poem.
The inscription reads, "Today is the day I say I do, and I carry this in memory of you," on the back of it. Interesting that it was in English. It was very touching for both of them. They both started crying.
They were both really touched. It was a beautiful moment. And they are discussing the fact that their mom passed away a couple years ago, so this is extra meaningful because Mina really wanted her mom to be at her wedding.
So sad. I was tearing up watching it. I hate when people's moms die. It makes me so sad.
It really softened me to Mina seeing her with her sister.
Yes.
Because it was like very relatable. It's like they really have this sister vibe. Like I feel like we've only seen her as this kind of like outsider in Mark's family or Mark's community. So it's nice to see her with her guard down.
Yes. And happy.
You know, as like an insider in a situation.
And being able to speak in her native language.
I know.
We cannot discount how important that is. Just the comfort level that gives you is huge. And honestly, I don't find everything about Mina relatable, but I do find a lot about her relatable. Like a lot of the things that she does, even the things that are like not so charming, I can't say that if I were in her situation, I wouldn't be acting the same.
I agree.
So I have a lot of empathy for her.
The only thing I really can't relate to is being in love with Mark.
Yes.
So in the next segment, they're getting ready to go back to Soaring Heights from Boston. And Alex says, "I'm so excited to see your countryside house." And Mina goes, "Really? Okay."
She fucking hates that fuck ass house. She hates it.
So they're driving back all together. And Mark asks Mina's thoughts on Boston. And Mina said that she really liked it. She liked that it was a city and how in New Hampshire she only sees trees. And Mark like laughs at that and goes, "Just trees? You also see lakes, mountains."
Yeah, you know what's on those? Trees.
Also, like, okay, if she's saying she likes a city, does access to a lake make it more of a city?
Yeah. It's not the difference. So
Alex asks, first of all, just love a pot stirring community member. So she's like from the back seat. She goes, "Why don't you live in Boston?"
That's some shit I would ask.
And Mark says it's because he has a house and it's always been his dream to live at an airport.
And I said, cannot think of something that I dream for less.
Never had that thought.
When I'm at the airport, the only thing I'm thinking is, how quickly can I get the fuck out of here?
So Alex then tells Mark that Mina isn't happy in New Hampshire. Again, I was kind of like surprised by the level of confrontation in this conversation, but like love an advocate. Basically, Mark says he knows Mina's not happy, but he like already explained so many times that this is where he lives, and basically says like Mina, like she signed up for this, like she knew what she was getting.
Which honestly, I kind of get.
I kind of get as well. And Alex's response is like, well, sometimes like the idea of something isn't the same as experiencing it. But I will say, like, as someone who loves cities, like if I could not be lured to a remote airport, you know what I mean? Like, I think you do need to be like, I really don't like that if you're I just, like, I get what Mark is saying. I understand both sides, but, like, unfortunately, when Mark was like, I did explain to her that I live at an airport in the middle of nowhere, I was like, yeah, I believe it in a way.
Also, not only did he explain that, but he explained that it's his dream. Like, he's actually living his dream. And it's really tough to look at someone doing that and say, okay, well, then you have to stop doing it because I don't like it. Because it's like, well, then maybe you guys shouldn't be together.
Maybe you're not compatible. I know.
It does bring me back to that thing that I've talked about of don't get with a baddie if you can't be with a baddie, which to me means don't get with someone and then like knowing who they are and like something that's very central to like how they behave or what they like, and then turn around once you're together and say, well, you have to stop doing that because I don't like it. And I think that, you know, when it comes to stuff like, oh, now that I'm living with you, I don't like that you never clean up after yourself. I think that's a fair thing to give feedback on because that's objectively like a bad habit. It's something that anyone should improve, right? Myself included. However, when you know it's something central to them, that's not cool to then throw in their face.
I agree. You really have to date people for who they are in that moment.
Yes.
And like, yeah, I
like
agree.
it's one thing if Mark and Mina were together for a long time and then all of a sudden he got really into flying planes and he's like, I actually want to live in an airport, and Mina's like, I love the city, then you would get divorced. Like sometimes it can't be helped that you guys do grow apart, but that's not what's happening. He was like that for years before they got together.
Yeah. So basically at this point, Mark just says they have enough going on and they won't be moving anytime soon. And he again is like, Mina said she would try for 6 months. Like, we're not even considering it before. Which again, it's like, yeah, I get it. Unfortunately, I do get it.
I think you do have to give it a shot.
So they arrive in Soaring Heights, and there's like all these dramatic shots of the whole area. And I have to say, something that came up for me, I had this almost like deja vu, but like faux deja vu. I was like, I swear to God, I've seen this place on Dateline. Like, I feel like there would be a Dateline episode set in Soaring Heights. And like, I don't think there actually was, but just seeing like the shots, I could just imagine the voiceover being like, no one would have thought this quiet aviation community could hold such dark secrets. You know what I mean? Like, can't you see it?
Absolutely. I love that. You know what? It's just the New Hampshire woods. That's very spooky stuff.
So they are looking around. Alex goes, it's charming. You're connected to nature. Amina goes, too much nature.
And Alex is like, a lot of trees. A lot of trees.
And then later to the camera, Alex describes it as, quote, very original. And then the producer's like, could you live here? And she's like, no.
Immediately no, I couldn't live here.
Then they go inside, and I was very happy to see Mina got a brand new couch.
Yes, she did. Good for her.
I will say it's like completely jarring compared to the rest of Mark's decor, which has remained untouched.
Right. It's just this bright white modern couch and then everything from like the mid 2000s in the background.
Yes, but I was proud of her. Like, she's making that place her own. You know, good for her. Okay, all of a sudden, again, Mark is kind of scaring me. He's Mr. Responsible. He comes out and he goes, hey, you know, weren't we talking about adjusting the prenup to include me adopting Clayton? Let's do it right now.
I loved that.
I loved it, but I was like, what
Who's
happened?
This?
And then Mina's like, do you need to call Jordan first?
Mina.
And he says yes, but then he's like, just kidding.
That was funny.
And I was like, it was funny, but I was like, we've come so far that you guys can like joke about this, because like a month ago it was not a joke.
It was not. I'm also like, okay, we can make one joke about it, but let's move on, because we can't keep doing. Yeah, let's not harp on it. It's not really healthy.
But then they both signed the prenup.
Yeah.
So that's done. I was like, oh, okay.
I was also a little bit confused though, because I was like, did Mark just literally add it? Because I think that a prenup to be legally binding has to be written by a lawyer.
I don't know. Yeah, he did just write on there. He's like, also adopt Clayton.
Yeah, I was like, look, I'm not a lawyer. And again, I'm telling you, I'd love to have lawyer listeners, because like whatever this is, immigration, divorce, whatever. Because my understanding, when I did look into getting a prenup for myself, my understanding was to have it truly be legally binding, you have to have, number one, a lawyer write it for you and like endorse it and whatever you call it. And then also, ideally, you would have a separate lawyer do that for the other partner to make it truly legally binding. Because like you could argue in court if the same one did one that it's like not fair.
Well, I do know in general with contracts you can like add stuff in pen.
Yeah.
As long as it's not after someone signed. But I don't know. And I don't even want to pretend I know.
I don't. But genuinely, if anyone does know, please let us know, because I would be genuinely interested.
And that was the end of that.
Yeah, that's how they wrap up that section. So let's put in a prediction. Like, what do you think is going to happen with this couple?
Unfortunately, they're going to get married.
For sure,
It's going to be totally fine and like normal.
Yeah, I think they're just the kind of relationship that I'm not a fan of, but I honestly like Mina.
I do like Mina, and I have to say Mark is, I don't want to say he's growing on me, but he has these moments that come through once in a while where I'm like, oh, like when he was like so sweet about adopting Clayton. I'm like, oh, if you were like that all the time, I would like you a lot more.
Yeah. But I guess maybe this is that thing that you talk about a lot, which is like, yeah, every relationship has good moments. That doesn't mean that's a good relationship. But we're so desperate for any of the guys on this show to be good that we're like, you know what? Maybe Mark's the one.
I also feel like it's easier to do the big romantic gestures than it is to do like the day-to-day nitty-gritty. And I feel like in a way being like, I'll adopt Clayton, it's kind of similar to like showing up with a bouquet of roses where it's like, that's really nice and it's a really nice moment, but also like you didn't buy your daughter diapers.
I agree.
Speaking of couples that are probably going to end up just fine, here's a couple that's not going to end up just fine, and it's the Throuple.
Love them.
So we're back where we left off last time, which is at the restaurant. All three of them plus Ani's ex, Ray.
3's a crowd, 4's a circus.
And these are all clowns. So Ani is like, I guess, standing up. I guess she just got to the table. And Ray tells her, not in a controlling way, like in a gentle way, like, oh, sit down, in Spanish. And I was like, okay, Ray, you're already 30,000 times better of a partner than Matt and Amani.
Literally.
Because you can speak any Spanish.
Yes.
Immediately, Matt goes, again, no context. Matt goes, I can tell by your reaction. You know that we know. Which I guess is a reference to them finding out their name is Brenda. But it was just like a weird start where you're like, okay, like we're just... So this whole episode, or this segment at least, it was both in Spanish and English. So all the conversations between Ani and Ray were in Spanish. And then when Matt and Amani were involved, it was in English. So Ani in Spanish turns to Ray and asks if he told them her name. And he says yes. And she asks why. And then he says yes. And she asks why. And he says, well, why don't you want them to know your name? And at this point, Ani gets really upset at Ray. And she's like, I don't know why the fuck you're here. Like, she's like really upset that he's there. Then in an interview with the camera, Ani says, quote, oh, fuck, she thinks that I'm hiding something. And repeatedly, when she's talking about the situation, she just says she. So she's like only talking about Amani, which is interesting.
But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And this dynamic between this throuple is becoming a lot more clear that, okay, it is the two women and then Matt's the third.
And so Matt asks Amani why they don't know her name. And then Ani turns to Ray and in Spanish, again, asks why he told them her name. And he says, well, they said they're going to marry you. So, you know, implying they should know. Yeah. And Ani says, yes, but that's my business. At this point, I did notice she's significantly better at fighting in Spanish.
Yes. It was nice to see her be able to have a complex confrontation conversation in her native language. And I was like, okay, yes. She's not just like bad at she might be bad at confrontation, I don't know, but it's not that she has nothing to say, it's that she can't say anything in English like she wants to.
And also it reflects so poorly on their relationship, the throuple, that they have this level of communication and they're like trying to build a complex relationship off of that.
Yeah.
So basically just a continual theme is Ani's really mad at Ray for sharing her business. Meanwhile, Matt and Amani are just sitting there, cannot understand a word.
I know.
And then Amani's like, are you in witness protection?
Amani, like she's such a pot stirrer too. It's like, girl, it's already dramatic. You don't need to have like your little snide comment.
And then Ani basically says that she wanted to tell them herself. Her full name is Brenda Anahi, but her nickname is Ani. Okay. And she says this in an interview, but then to them, she says she didn't tell them because she wants to protect herself. And I'm like, stop saying cryptic shit. So at this point, Ani starts crying. And I have to say, I was kind of getting a little bit of like crocodile tears vibes from this.
I could see that.
She's crying and she says she thought they would be angry if she told them her real name when they got back from Ensenada. And I'm like, a week ago? What about like the whole course of your relationship before?
Yeah, that's not adding up.
And she says that they're angry all the time. And Amani says, yes, because of this stuff.
Dude, what caused their fight last time? Because is that even true? What was the cause of their fight?
Well, the last cause of the fight was that she's not telling people about them. I mean, I do think it's a recurring theme that she's like hiding or being cagey.
Okay.
And like that they're not showing that she's not showing that she's like committed to the relationship. I feel like this does feed into that.
But yeah, what's the difference? Like, you telling them a week ago probably also would have annoyed them and freaked them out. You should have told them months ago.
I know. And like, so, and then Ani says she doesn't want to fight anymore, and like she's just crying the whole time, and meanwhile Ray is just like sitting there.
He's so bewildered.
So then Amani asks Ani if she's still married. And again, Ani turns to Ray and is like, did you tell them that?
Oh my God.
And Ani says she isn't married. And then Ray immediately is like, oh, I must have misunderstood.
That was so funny. He obviously was like, oh shit, I've got to lie.
And then he goes, well, I'm just an old man. Maybe my timeline's off. He's like, how old? 45?
Well, right. He maybe in his 50s, but this guy's not like 70 or 80.
He's not
can't
like
say that.
And then he like super unconvincingly says, she says she's not married, so there you go. It's whether you believe in her. It's up to you.
Okay, girl.
Okay. And then at this point, Matt says he's in an interview that he's worried that Ray is trained by Ani because his story changed so fast. Like one look from Ani and all of a sudden he goes, never mind.
Well, the whole quote is, he says, you know, he changed his story to, I'm mistaken. Any woman that can snap her fingers like that and change a man's memory, that's trained. But I think, doesn't that sound like Amani and Matt, though?
Also,
I could totally picture them having that dynamic. So it's just so funny of Matt to say that, because I'm like, yeah, you would know.
So then at this point, Ray says in an interview that Ani is very private, but also he thinks she's hiding something. And like Matt and Amani need to find out what they're getting into. And I'm like, what's Ray's angle?
Yeah, what's his dog in this fight?
Yeah, like it's like pot stirring, but not in a consistent way. It's kind of odd. And then at this point, Amani says she needs to get a translator to talk to Ani and like finally have a serious conversation. I'm like, if you need a translator to have a serious conversation, how did this not come up before in your relationship? Because like I agree, they do need a translator.
Yes. And one who's not Ray, who's not like covering for Ani.
It just goes to show the depth or shallowness of this relationship. They have no ability to verbally communicate.
Yes. Hey guys, if you need to have, and maybe this is what you meant, but if you need to have a translator to have a serious talk, probably that means that you guys shouldn't be together because you can't communicate.
Yeah, but also it's like, it goes to show they've never had a serious conversation before, because
right.
I agree, they do need a translator to have a serious conversation.
Yes.
So I feel like their only conversations have been like, I want to kiss you. I want to kiss you.
Literally.
Like,
where can I send the money that you requested? Yeah. And not ask questions about that.
And so at this point, Matt and Amani leave kind of in a huff.
They're like, we have to sleep on it. We'll talk about it another day with the translator.
Ani and Ray stay, and Ray is like consoling her by like hugging her and like kissing her head. And I'm like, Ray, you gotta leave.
Yeah, like she doesn't want, she's pissed at you. Get away. And then Ray is like, I'll see you later, okay? And walks away. And I'm like, see you later? How often are these people hanging out? How close are they?
Very confusing. Close enough for that, but not close enough for him to reveal that he's meeting her partners behind her back.
Right.
Odd
Confusing.
level of closeness. Anyway, Ani at this point was really starting to piss me off. And she says that she feels sad. This is an interview. She said she feels sad and bad. And she wants to be honest, but she needs more time. And I'm like, she always loves saying she needs more time. And I'm like, in this context, what does that possibly mean? You needed more time to tell them your first name?
I think she needs more time to formulate her lies, is what
She
means.
needs more time to get more money from them before they break up. I mean,
no, literally, to continue the grift. She's like, wait, I need to figure out how to plan the storyline I'm going to do so that I can continue getting money out of these people.
And I just like, again, I'm not at all a Matt and Amani apologist, but I really did not find Ani compelling here. I like, and the immediate just like starting to cry and like attacking Ray for telling them, it just felt really manipulative.
Absolutely. And I, for the first time, was like, oh, she's definitely hiding stuff from them. Because in the past, when Matt and Amani accused her of that, I was like, that's so random. Why are they saying that? Because at that point, we had no reason, like from what we were shown in the show, to believe that. And now I'm thinking, oh, again, I don't like Matt and Amani, but Ani is being sketchy as fuck.
Yes. And then she basically says that the only lie was her name, but Minnie, meanwhile, says she just doesn't believe Ani about anything anymore. And then it ends with Ani, I had to laugh at this, like alone, screaming into the night, ¿Por qué?
Love that. These people are so fucking goofy. Like, literally not, I've said this before, but not one of them is enjoyable. Or they're enjoyable in a sense, but not one of them is likable as a person. They're all annoying.
They're not likable. The relationship is not believable. Like, there's just so many questions.
Even Matt and Amini's relationship is not believable to me.
No, there are so many foundational issues here. And then on top of that, they're just, like, behaving weirdly. Like, I don't even know.
Agreed.
We know this isn't going to end well, so I don't even, whatever. I'm curious to see what happens, but it's not if it ends poorly, it's how it ends poorly.
Yeah, and when. Like, I'm very curious to see how they will end up in this season, if there even will be an ending. Maybe it's going to be, honestly, we'll see what happens next. They're still kind of together.
The way they could fully use them to launch a new spinoff that's, like, divorced and K1. We're back with Greg and Joan.
In Long Island.
24 days to wed. Greg is now fasting, allegedly, because he ate too much food on their New York trip.
I saw them eat like one piece of pizza, but okay.
I think his definition of fasting is just not eating breakfast.
And sugar, he said.
And sugar. And this is such a funny visual. Joan and Lucille together are packing him a lunch for his first day at work. And
getting their kid ready to go on the school bus.
Greg here really reveals, like, how long it's been since he's worked. He also dropped that he's been doing, like, rideshare. So I guess he's been doing, like, kind of gig economy jobs in the meantime. But he says, quote, I don't even know how to talk to my supervisor. It's been so long. I'm like, is that the most complicated part of having a job?
I don't think that having a boss is the craziest part.
It's like you should, like, swear at them. I don't know. And then for some reason, at this point, Lucille becomes equipped with one of those, like, bug zappers.
Oh my God, love that little moment.
And she's just, like, in multiple scenes, just, like, holding one of the bug zappers and, like, kind of zapping bugs in the background.
I mean, that's how you can tell it's the summer there.
But I also love that she, like, Lucille is, like, not about to be scripted. She's like, I need to zap these bugs. I don't care if it's like...
She's living her regular life. The cameras are just there. That's why, honestly, I love when she's on screen, because you know it's going to be authentic as fuck.
So Greg at this point is, like, on his way to work for the first day, and he says that he's excited to be a productive member of society, and then reveals he has not had a boss, which I'm assuming, like, means has not had, like, a kind of steady salaried job since pre-COVID.
That's crazy. That's like 5 years probably when they filmed. That's a long time.
Yeah. And then he says, quote, I've had adult jobs, 9-to-5s, but never official real careers. So it's just interesting. So, I mean, like, I'm not judging him for it. It's just, like, providing more insights. I didn't know if he was, like, unemployed because he just lost his job that he'd had for a while, but it seems like his career kind of, like, never really took off, which is, again, fine.
Yeah. It's definitely an adjustment to go from that to this.
But then this is annoying. He keeps going, like, Joan, I'm doing this for you. And I'm like,
yeah, that
okay, you're doing it for you. You need a job.
Yeah. And also, Joan, when she gets the right to work, she's also planning to work. It's not like he's doing it so she can not work.
You need a job. You can't just live in your mom's house. Well, I guess that would have been his backup plan, just living in his mom's house forever.
It's not a good plan, though.
I know. In the meantime, back at the house, Joan comes downstairs with her wedding dress, and she says she needs it to be altered and asks Lucille to drive her because she doesn't have a driver's license. Mm-hmm. And I guess the one con of Greg not being home all day is he can't be her,
chauffeur.
Her Uber driver.
Yeah. And
then I loved this. I love when, like, glimmers of people's personalities kind of come through that you might not have seen as much. Because Joan usually is, like, very kind of quiet and demure. But she says to the camera that she needs a dress that will show off all her curves and where, quote, you can see my butt twerking.
No, I thought, oh my God, me and Joan are the same.
That was your exact criteria.
Yeah. For my wedding dress, I literally, at the wedding dress fitting, I was shaking ass. Because I was like, well, I can't buy something too tight or, like, with no movement.
You guys are so aligned.
She was so cute, though, saying that. I loved it.
I know. And so they're already setting up drama here because Lucille says in an interview that she's so excited to see the fitting and she knows Joan will look beautiful and that this is a stepping stone in getting closer. And so then they're, like, in the car. They get to the place. Lucille asks if she should come in. And Joan says, and I thought Joan was pretty respectful in saying this, but she said she would love that, but she'll be talking to her own family. And she wants them to be the first people to see on a video call. And at this point, like, Lucille, you can already see that she's kind of dejected. Mm-hmm. But then Joan even elaborates in an interview that, like, she recognizes this could hurt Lucille's feelings, but she really wants this moment with her family since they have not been a part of wedding planning at all. And it's later revealed they can't come to the wedding.
Yeah.
So, like,
It's so
I do
sad.
kind of, I do understand the desire to, like, have a special moment that's just with their family. But, okay, this topic, we've talked about it before. I still don't 100% understand why people can't do just, like, a courthouse wedding for the paperwork and then do their, like, big celebration later when their family can be there.
I do not understand that.
It seems like that would sort of solve all the issues.
My best theory is that it's part of the 90-day fiancé contract that they do a traditional wedding ceremony. And then I think a lot of people, if they're contractually obligated to do that and like put money into it, I think that they figure, well, why would we do that twice? Because it is a hassle.
Yeah.
So that's my best guess. But in general, if that's not the case, I have no idea.
Because it must be something like that, because they're talking about we can't afford a wedding and her family can't come. And I'm like, so it sounds like maybe just pop over to City Hall and then deal with this later when you can.
To kind of talk about this dilemma or this situation between Joan and Lucille, it's tough because on some level, I just think that the mother-in-law it's just not the same as your actual mom and sisters. And I think that the mother-in-law has to understand that to have like a healthy relationship. Like I think just that is the respectful thing, is like to understand your place in that sense. Mm-hmm. And I totally get Joan thinking, well, I just really want this to be with my family. That said, I think this was a misstep on Joan's part.
I think it was done really poorly. And I also felt like it's so rude to ask someone to drive you to something and then be like, you need to stay in the car.
Exactly. I think it's a misstep given her specific circumstances. The fact that not only is Lucille kindly driving her to this appointment, but Joan is also living in Lucille's house for free.
And I also feel like if there would have been maybe the opportunity to also communicate this earlier, like been like, would it be possible to drive me? Like, just so you know, I'm just going to do a video call with just my, like, I don't know, like also like to have, maybe if it was so important to her to have like communicated it before they like got there. But I do feel like it's rude to have someone who's like in this moment, I did feel like Lucille was genuinely excited to be a part of it. And it did feel shitty.
I think it was immature, honestly. I was like, ooh, Joan, I get it, but I think you're in a really less than ideal situation, and you have to understand that Lucille is doing you a solid in many ways, and I think at the bare minimum, you could just let her come in.
I also don't think it would have really taken away from the experience by having her there. You could also have your family on FaceTime. You could do both. I
agree. If you really wanted like a private moment with your family, why not have Lucille wait outside and have the moment with your family and then end the call and have Lucille come in? You know, if you really want it to be separate.
No, it reminded me a lot of her being like, of Joan being like, you're home too much. You should go out more. Where I'm like, ugh. Like, I get what you're saying, but like not the move. And you're not considering like the dynamic here in terms of like this woman is doing you a huge favor, you know? Also, might I add, Lucille's paying for the wedding. I just remembered.
Yeah, Lucille's paying. You can't let her come in for a fitting. Like, that's cruel.
I understand where Joan was coming from and like trying to make it special, but I think it was done in a really clumsy way, especially because the truth is, I hate to say it, but if your family can't be there in person, you're never gonna have the moment you're hoping for. Mm-hmm. Like a FaceTime call just isn't gonna provide that feeling that you're hoping for. And so it just kind of felt like a bad situation.
And I also think it would have been an opportunity for the two of them to bond, honestly. And Lucille said that, but it's like, I mean, Lucille even could have been there when Joan, we'll get to it, but Joan was crying during the call. It was a very emotional thing for her. And I kind of get like feeling like that could be awkward, but you're living with this woman. She's going to be a part of your life because you're with Greg and he's close to his mom. Why not just embrace it? Just be like, you know what? You're my local mom. How about you comfort me? I'm going through something. I get Joan kind of wanting to think independently from that, but I actually think in the long term, it's going to set her up to be less close with her family here and less like happy with her life. And that I think is a shame.
I agree. But it was kind of one of these situations where it's like, no one was really a bad actor. It was just handled poorly. And it was just kind of unfortunate.
And if they had just talked about it explicitly, it really could have been solved easily.
I agree. So Lucille in the car gives an interview. And I will point out at one point it switches to a voiceover. So it's not clear like what was said in the car directly versus what was added later.
Oh, good noticing.
But this is her whole quote. And I'll tell you when the voiceover happens.
Sure.
So she says, quote, I did feel a little hurt, you know, because I've been helping her all along through this. So it did bother me a little bit, I must say. Switch to voiceover. It's hurtful. I just thought I could be there for her, but evidently she didn't need me. So I just feel rejected and just worthless. But there's always payback.
Okay, yeah, that was a random line. That's interesting that you noticed it was a voiceover. Huh.
Because it escalated. It went from I feel a little hurt to I'm worthless. And I was like, is she spiraling like that in real time? She might be. But I thought it was interesting. I kind of felt like they were like, hey, that wasn't enough. Can you say that you felt like you should just die? Because, you know what I mean? Like, I felt like they were like...
Yeah, it's like, is that from a totally different scenario and we're just clipping it in here? Or is it even like later they did another interview and she kind of hyped it? Yeah, who knows what
Makes me wonder. But I thought the switch to voiceover directly at the point where it escalated was interesting.
Glad you picked up on that. That is interesting.
So meanwhile, Joan is FaceTiming her family, her mom and her sisters, and a younger relative, I think maybe her niece, but it wasn't clarified who. And the family just basically explains they couldn't get visa appointments at the embassy. The next visa appointments were in a year, so they can't come to the wedding. It's just heartbreaking. Like, it's so sad when bureaucracy gets in the way of things. It's just so pointless, you know?
It's so sad.
So she shows them her dress. She looks beautiful. Her ass does look fantastic.
Yeah. And her family's like, turn around. Yeah. And she shows her butt and they say, Ugandan ass. And she kind of shakes her butt for them. It was so cute.
Love that. And at this point, everyone's just getting really emotional. Like, Joan saying she really wanted them to be there. She wanted Kylie to be her flower girl. Kylie's crying. I mean, it was just really heartbreaking. So it was just sad. And again, I had, like I said, the big question I had here was like, I don't understand why it has to be this way in terms of having the big wedding now, but there must be a reason because it doesn't make sense otherwise.
Yeah. And each couple is like this.
Yeah. And then that was the end of that segment.
Yeah. It was definitely sad. Like, for sure they're going to get married. And I don't know about that decision, but for sure it's going to happen. And yeah, it's like a sad reality when, as you said, bureaucracy gets in the way of families being able to be together for important milestones in life like this. And I think a big part about like being in an international relationship, especially if you're getting married specifically, is a lot of it can be less romantic than you envisioned. You know, let's say if you dreamed about your wedding and like thought really specifically like how things are going to go, for a lot of couples this is the reality. Your family can't even be there, and it's just like part of the deal for a lot of people, and it just sucks. So I think like if you're in an international relationship, a lot of it is learning how to just let go of shit and be like, okay, this is not what I imagined, but I'm just going to roll with it. And that's just how it is. It's so unnecessary too.
It's so unnecessary. And like, especially the U.S. immigration/visa system is so broken.
So
like
bullshit.
The fact that for so many of these things, the issue is just there's like a backlog. I'm like, that could surely be fixed. Like, we could surely make processes more efficient. Anyway, that's that. It's kind of a downer, but it is what it is.
Speaking of downers, we've got Shawn and Alliya. So Shawn tells Alliya that he's going to meet Stacy, his friend, to do her hair at the salon. We don't know who Stacy is, but we get some explanation later. And Shawn leaves to go to the salon, and Alliya starts a video call with her mom, Cleusa.
Love her.
And Cleusa asks how things are, and Alliya tells her about the trip that they took to see Shawn's family in Northern California. It's in Sonoma. And she says that they treated her very well, and Cleusa is very happy about that. And she says, quote, if they mess with you, they mess with me. And shows like her arm guns off, which is really
so cute. I love that.
What a sweetie. And Alliya tells her mom that she had an appointment with a doctor about her cosmetic feminization journey. Cleusa, her mom, asks how Shawn is dealing with that. And Alliya says that when they went to the doctor, he was a bit tense, she thinks. And she thinks that Shawn is just adapting to this reality. And Cleusa said it's going to be very hard, and they have to communicate and support each other through this. And Alliya in an interview says that her mom supports her doing her surgeries, but her mom thinks that she should include Shawn in all of her decisions. I'm really curious what she meant by include here.
I kind of got the vibe that the mom was like really wanting Alliya to make the relationship work. Like, I mean, just off the top of my head, I was like, I don't know if she just like doesn't want Alliya to like lose the sort of like opportunities this relationship affords her. But
that's the vibe I got too.
Yeah, because it kind of seemed like the subtext was like, don't fuck this up. You know, and it was just kind of an interesting response, in my opinion.
I agree. And like, given Alliya's specific circumstances, I'm not even going to judge her mom for having that opinion. I mean, I'm sure she has her reasons. I don't know.
I want to say, as much as I'm criticizing Shawn, and I will continue to criticize Shawn for creating an environment for Alliya that I don't think is psychologically super safe. I want to acknowledge the reality that Alliya could be in a much less safe situation.
Yes.
And I think, you know, we're coming from a place of like, I don't want trans people to settle for anything less than the best. I don't want people to feel like they have to go into a situation expecting less than 100% respect and proper treatment. You know, I don't think you should like pre-negotiate down, right? Like, but I also want to recognize like it's coming from a place of privilege, and like I don't blame her mom for being like, this situation you have is pretty darn good. Like,
and maybe you have to be
make
strategic about it.
You know,
yeah.
like I am not criticizing her. I just thought it was interesting to hear that perspective. Again, we're just reading between the lines. Maybe that's not really what's happening, but that's kind of what it sounded like. And like, from her perspective, I get it. It's like a rich gay man, you know, wants to sponsor you and give you a life that in many ways I'm sure is lovely. Mm-hmm. I don't blame her mom for seeing the benefits in it. That's all I want to say. You know, like I'm not naive to the sort of global reality. Yeah.
Totally. Absolutely agree. This really is a situation that we have strong opinions on, but this is a super nuanced situation to be in. So we don't want our strong opinions to come across as that we even are like completely right. Like as much as we might think we are, it just is like complicated sometimes.
I also, the reason that I'm so hard on Shawn is I know he has the resources and the ability to do better. He is a rich white man living in a community that is known for being inclusive to the LGBTQ community. Like, I don't know why he isn't behaving better.
Exactly.
But it's not to say that Alliya is at some way, it's just complicated. I want better for her. Maybe this is the best that she feels she can get, you know, or it's a stepping stone, or when she's done the math, she's like, living with a kind of transphobic guy in America is better than staying in Brazil. Like, I'm not questioning her. I just wish she could get whatever she's getting from this relationship, plus respect and love.
Agreed. So we now cut to Shawn at the hair salon, and he's like doing like touching up Stacy's hair, like doing a dye job. And sorry, he's wearing this god awful t-shirt. Did you notice this?
No.
It was horrible. It was a black t-shirt with a huge King of Spades playing card on it, made out of rhinestones.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, I love a flashy outfit, but this was god awfully ugly. So I just had to kick him for that. So Shawn explains that Stacy was a previous business partner he had back when he owned a hair salon in Sonoma County. So I wonder if he's from that area, because his mom lives there now.
And seemingly all his friends are there.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, you lived there. Got it. And Shawn and Stacy knew each other before even Shawn met his first wife. So this is a really old friend of his. And Stacy says in the moment that the engagement party was super fun. So I guess she was there. We didn't meet her that I remember. We didn't get like a title, like a name card for her on screen, but she was there. And she says that Alliya was gorgeous and gracious, and she loved the little bit that she got to talk with her. And Stacy asks how it is being back in LA after the party, and Shawn says that Alliya is, quote, dealing with her transition. So I don't think she's as comfortable being intimate with me because she's not feeling sexy, beautiful, or whatever. I'm like, first of all, dealing with her transition is like a very strange way to phrase it, I think. But Stacy recommends not pushing off that closeness too long, but she understands that as a woman, if you're not feeling beautiful, it can impact your sex life, so she gets it. But I'm also like, it's kind of funny because Shawn and Alliya had sex like 2 days after.
No, but it is funny. It's like they keep talking about how they're not having sex and they like are having sex. I'm like, I wonder like what the expectation is.
Kind of a weird transition. I don't know what they cut it really weird. But Shawn says, so with the doctor, we got to play with breast implants. That was fun. And he says it kind of like that, like sarcastically.
As if it's not like a real thing as partners considering doing.
Why are you demeaning it? You know, the way
always.
The way that he talks about it is so also defensive. I wonder if it comes from also a place of he's embarrassed to be talking to his friend about this because he's worried what she would think.
Well, I think part of it is like he's still really trying to do this thing of like, I'm gay, boobs, yuck. And I'm like, you're marrying a woman.
Yeah, literally. You got to get over that. So Stacy says, I don't know what the term is, but if she chooses to completely become a woman, and Shawn says gender reassignment surgery very confidently. And hey guys, just so you know, nope, not the right term. We covered this last episode, actually. I was like, noting that Alliya seemed to be getting that term from him. The correct term for specifically what they're talking about is bottom surgery. It's where you're doing surgery to change the genitals. Just FYI, that doesn't have to do with gender. It's a sex thing.
But interestingly, later in the same segment, she calls it bottom surgery.
I know. I did think that was
So I feel like someone was like, psst, is what it's called.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a weird discrepancy. Anyway, so Stacy then says, do you think your marriage could survive that? Which is a fair question because, well, from what we've seen, obviously not. And finally, someone is like outright asking him that, I guess, because he's not being honest with himself. But Shawn says, there's no way of knowing. Like, what's going to happen? When is it going to happen? What are the options? How's that going to feel? This is such a boomer thing. I feel like so many boomers go through the world acting as if they have no control over the situation they're in. Have you noticed this? They're always like,
Yes.
yeah, I don't know. It just happened to me. And I'm like, okay, let's have a little bit of agency.
Him saying there's no way of knowing, and like we who like don't know him, know.
Yeah.
We know. Like, I think the way of knowing is that you're constantly saying, if she becomes a woman fully, I will not be attracted to her. That is sort of knowing.
And then it's like, he's like, there's no way of knowing, I guess, how he's going to feel. But then, like, when he says, like, what's going to happen? When is it going to happen? What are the options? That's, like, a totally random, that's a different topic. That's, like, talking about the literal surgery logistics, I guess. So I'm like, he's so, like, messy. I don't know. Like, his thought process is very scattered. And Stacy, the friend, in an interview says, change happens. It's a part of life. But it's really different for a 25-year-old than for a 60-year-old. Exactly why they should break up. They are not, like, so many times this truly comes down. I mean, it's both things. It's both that Shawn is a gay man who's not attracted to women and doesn't want to be with a woman who has a vagina, which is fine. Like, that's true. And then it's also that their age gap is ridiculous and he's so fucking old and dinosaur-like. And they are not compatible because of both of those things. Like, it's truly both. And the show, I feel like, and Shawn explicitly really tries to paint it as just the genital thing, or like the transition thing, as he says. It's like,
yeah,
no,
well, we knew
both.
that from episode 1, where they were casually like, I'm 25, I'm 62, and she's transgender. And I'm like, okay, I don't care about that. Let's go back to the ages.
And that's weird as fuck. And it's really interesting because I feel like multiple times friends of his have been like, yeah, the transition thing, but also he's a lot older than her. And I think that's going to cause a lot of problems. And I'm like, why does everyone know except for him? It's fascinating. So back in the moment, Stacy says to him that they aren't married yet. And if Shawn knew for sure that Alliya is going to have bottom surgery, would he go through with the marriage? Thank you, Stacy, for asking outright.
And his response, I was like, ooh.
Honestly, interesting that you said that because I had no idea what the fuck he meant. I'll read the quote and I'd love for you to tell me.
I'll tell you. I could figure out what he meant.
Okay, because he says, part of me thinks I could pull the 90-day visa. We could reapply or not. We could then give ourselves that space. What?
He means like void the 90-day visa.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with what she said about could you go through like...
To get more time. Like cancel the visa and be like, let's take time and decide if we want to reapply or not for the 90-day visa.
Like have her do the surgery, then see how they feel about it, and then decide?
Yeah.
Oh my God, my brain didn't even consider that because that's the stupidest plan ever. Okay. It was just a stupid response. Alliya's not going to want to do that also. And that's just a mess. Like the K1 visa, especially as a Brazilian, takes so long. And the interview was so nerve-wracking for her. Like this is such a huge process. What are you talking about?
I also can't imagine how the government will feel about you having like nulled or like voided whatever your visa. And then you're reapplying for the same visa.
It definitely would be weird.
I feel like that would at least put like a big red flag on your application.
I think so. Stacy just encourages Shawn to really think about that question before they marry. Good advice.
Can only agree with that.
Yeah, finally some people making some sense. So in the next part of their section, Shawn and Alliya together go to the beach and they go rollerblading together. And in an interview, Alliya says that she doesn't like rollerblading. She doesn't want to do it. I just have to say, Shawn teaching her how to rollerblade looks like a father-daughter hangout.
It really does.
So they stop rollerblading eventually, and Shawn brings up the doctor visit. Alliya explains that she wants to do hormone therapy and facial feminization, specifically like shaving down her brow bone, which again is a common thing that's done.
Why is Shawn so fucking weird about scarring? He's like, you're going to have a scar.
He's like, you're going to have a huge, that's so complicated and dangerous, and there will be a huge scar on top of your head, like a headband. And I'm like, I don't think that they're like...
No, but I've seen the scars from that kind of surgery, and it's like right on your hairline, paper thin scar. I mean, it's like
I'm like,
It's
people aren't
fine.
doing this in their garage. Like a surgeon is doing it at a hospital. It's like pretty professional. And Aaliyah's like, oh, actually, you won't really see the scar because my hair will cover it, which is true. And Shawn is like, I've had clients who got brow lifts and the scar went into their bone and made a divot. And I'm like, first of all, a brow lift is different from shaving down your brow bone. Like, that's just a different procedure. And also, I don't believe you.
Also, I feel like I'm comfortable if I have a scar and the only person who sees it is my hairdresser.
Well, yeah, why would I give a shit?
Like, he's like going like in between your hairs and he's like, there's something. I'm like, yeah, the whole point is most of the time people aren't like dividing your individual hair follicles to look at your scalp. Like,
Truly.
it's such a weird like projection of something else.
Totally. It's bizarre. And I mean, he just doesn't want her to do it. That's what the situation is. And he's just trying to like scare her out of it, honestly, instead of just being honest with himself.
I've heard that when you do that, they sometimes take your eyeballs out by accident.
She's like, I don't think so. And then Aliyah, when he says this thing about like, yeah, like they my past clients had like this really big scar, like it had a divot and everything. Aliyah goes, but that's probably a long time ago. Boom, roasted. She really wasn't trying to be shady, but she ate him up. You old ass. And Shawn asks when she wants to do all of that. And Aliyah says she wants to start hormones as soon as possible. She's like, yeah, like next week. And she looks so excited. And period, you should. I love this for her.
Okay, so basically, like at this point, Shawn like manages to center himself again with this whole thing.
Of course.
He says, quote, I just don't want to be not considered. I was pretty shocked at the doctor's office that you'd done all that research on reassignment surgeries.
I don't know why you're surprised about that.
I think that's good. I think it's good to go to the doctor, like, knowing about the surgery you're thinking of getting.
Yeah, and gender-affirming surgery is something that is so central to her being. Like, why would she not be doing her own research about that?
Also, just like a really intense surgery you might want to like learn about.
Yeah, I don't get it.
At this point, Shawn is inventing shit because what do you mean you're mad that she like Googled stuff without telling you?
Exactly. He's just mad because he can tell that this in his mind is slipping away from him. Like, oh, it's actually going to happen. But Shawn, that's not Aliyah doing something wrong. The problem is that you're like in this weird form of denial where you think there's a chance she's going to like detransition or something.
But then this made me really upset. Like, I don't know if it's fair for me to be upset by this, but I made me at least concerned. Mm-hmm. Aliyah then said, like, to answer Shawn's question, she said she's currently not thinking about bottom surgery, but she said she can't promise she won't change her mind later. But the fact that she went from being so excited about the idea to saying she's not going to do it just kind of made me wonder, like, if Shawn's pressure was part of it, you know? Like,
I mean, of course it is.
And then literally Shawn says, quote, I can't promise you our marriage would survive if you had gender reassignment surgery.
Like, on some level, I'm so relieved that he's finally saying it outright, honestly, instead of like duping her into thinking that she's safe when she's not. But on the other hand, more or equal to that, I'm like grossed out. I'm disgusted that, not that he feels this way, but that he's not breaking up. Like, why are you continuing the charade then? If you actually respected her, you would let her go. Or at least like be upfront with her about, okay, well, let's just turn this into a transaction thing where I get you a green card and we're not actually together and you're free to date whoever and we'll be friends. But that's not what he's doing, and that's what annoys me.
I agree. And he's like giving her false hope in a way that like things might be okay when like the problem is that she's a woman. I mean, it's always going to come back to that, you know?
Exactly.
And Aliyah says it's not easy to hear that, but they're living in the moment and like...
She doesn't have answers for the future, she says. I felt like she was minimizing her wants and needs because she could feel that... I mean, he said he would reject her if that's the case. So she's like, oh, okay, but that's sad. Like, what is this? This is such a joke.
In a way, this reminds me a lot of the bisexual plotline with Mahdi and Stevi, where it's like a really big thing that they just keep pushing to the future. And I'm like, if you know it's a deal breaker right now, then just act on it.
Yeah, it's not going to change.
Again, I don't want to question Aliyah's choices if she herself has decided after her research she doesn't want bottom surgery. I totally support that. It's a personal decision, but I can't help but feel like her now suddenly diminished interest in it has to do with her partner constantly being like, if you get this, I'll leave you.
Absolutely. Like, whatever decision Aliyah makes, I do support her in. But this is all just to say that, like, I hope even if she stays with Shawn, she knows that she shouldn't stay with him forever because she does deserve way better than this. Like, if she wants to use him to get a green card, I fully support that. And uses money to pay for the surgeries. I mean, that's another big thing, is clearly he's paying for it. And that's not nothing. That is so expensive. That's
significant. Yeah. Yeah.
Messy, messy couple that always stresses me out, and I can't wait to see end. But even if, if they do end, that's not like a happy ending for Alliya necessarily, because she'll have to go back to Brazil, and she's really happy to be in America. So it sucks.
There's no like joy or satisfaction to be found in this situation. It's just sad and unfortunate, and
ugh, I hate it.
Anyway, as always, thanks these two for being a huge downer.
I hate when they're last because it's such a bummer.
Starting with Shekinah and Sarper and ending here, it's like such a
emotional journey.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much to everyone for sticking with us through this emotional journey, no matter how it ends.
And I can only imagine the twists we're going to see in the next 6 episodes.
I'm so excited. Yeah, good reminder that there's only 6 episodes left. This was episode 14. Actually, we'll probably only do 5 more episodes because there's a double reunion. So that's why it's 20 episodes total. But we'll just do probably 1 recap episode for that.
Agreed. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's coming to an end. Crazy.
But not the podcast. Don't you worry, you guys.
You'll never get rid of us. We have so much more to talk about.
So much more. And mainly about ourselves. So can't wait about that. But thank you so much, everyone, for being here for episode 14. It was so fun to record, even though we'll cut it, but we had some technical difficulties. My God.
Oh, yes.
As we always do.
But next week, we're recording a special episode in person because I'm going to be in New York.
Can't wait.
We'll see how that goes. I'm really excited, but
I'm kind of nervous. I'm going to have to get to know you. I'm like, whoa, you're right there. Do I look at you? Do I look away? What do I do?
We're going to figure it out. It's going to be a journey, but we're excited for you to be on it with us.
Absolutely.
And as always, please join us on social media at MyBestViewPod. We love interacting with you, even the one person who is a Mark defender. We still appreciate the interaction.
Thank you for your presence.
And
please also make sure to follow us on whatever platform you're listening to this episode on. Give us a like, give us a comment, and please make sure that you tell your friends to also listen to the show. We would very much appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Have a great one, you guys. Bye.